Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 177, and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber Nymph on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram. I've got to say, I've hardly been very active anywhere in social media in the last few weeks. I think once I went to Maine, I just kind of got out of the habit because I wasn't able to connect to the internet very easily up there to do anything. And then I've just been, lazy maybe, I don't know. I haven't been on Plurk in ages, and that's not on purpose. I just haven't been. Instagram, I hit some, I throw some stuff up there occasionally, but Ravelry, I'm still trying to, that's probably where I am the most lately. So just so you know, I am in those places, just not all the time. So anyway, hi. It is Saturday morning, October 31st, which makes it Halloween, and I'm lame because I did not put on a costume. I'm sorry. I don't really have a readily available Halloween costume. I don't get dressed up unless I'm actually doing some Halloween-y kind of thing, which I do sometimes. In recent years, some friends have done different Halloween stuff that has required at least some semblance of a costume. But not this year, and nothing I felt would be something I'd want to put on for the podcast. I will, however, direct you to Kristen from Vine. She wore her costume in her podcast this week, and it was awesome. So go check out her podcast just to see her awesome costume if you didn't already. And I'm sure there's probably other podcasters who have costumed up this week for the sake of Halloween. More power to you guys. I just don't have it in me to do that this year. So anyway, maybe for Thanksgiving I'll dress up like a turkey. And some people will say, well, how will that be any different than you usually are? Okay, let's move on. Let's welcome some people. We had Crystal from North Carolina, Anya, A-I-N-A. I'm sorry I butchered your pronunciation, I know. But anyway, welcome. She is from Norway. And lastly, Katka from Slovakia. And I think, Katka, you may be the very first Slovakian to join our group, or at least to introduce yourself. I don't remember anyone from Slovakia before. So, hey, welcome. It's another international week here at 90% Knitting. So. All right, it's also another week of Lisa did not do a whole lot of knitting, so this should go fairly quickly. But I will show you what I have worked on. Still using my Halloween bag here. Okay, I need to move my keyboard out of the way before I end up pushing a button. Okay. Alrighty, so first up, my zombie waffle socks that I'm making for Christopher. I did work on, this is probably what got the most work this week, actually. You've already seen the finished one. So that was the finished one. And then this one, I forget, I was really up on the cuff, like not very far into the sock at all. I may have just been up on the ribbing, as a matter of fact, when you saw it the last time. But clearly I have got the whole cuff done. And now I'm on the foot part. I'm probably about an inch away from starting to do the toe decreases. And again, I'm planning to do the traditional afterthought heel, no waste yarn, since I've come to love that particular way of doing it. Find it easier, actually, than using the waste yarn. So it's moving right along, and this is actually what I'm focusing on. I'd like to get this pair of socks done so that I can give them to Christopher and he can wear them because he likes his hand knit socks. So this is my Fiber Nymph Dye Works Squish 2.0 base. And I'm really actually using quite a bit of this yarn. He's got bigger feet though, so Squish is a slightly smaller skein. Bounce is 400 yards. Bounce being my, usual sock yarn base that most people like. This only has about 380, 383 yards, so it's a little less. It's a slightly heavier yarn though too, but I'm really surprised I'm using as much yarn as I do because I don't usually end up using that much of a ball of sock yarn. So I guess it's just because big feet, big boy, big feet. So anyway. All right, so that is Squish 2.0 in the double tap colorway, which is my Zombieland inspired colorway. And I'm knitting it on my usual 1.5 US needles and 72 stitches. So afterthought heel. The blueberry waffles pattern is actually the pattern, and I did not write down the designer's name. Sorry. Bad blogger or bad podcaster. Blogger. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to think about trying to blog at this point in my life. Blueberry Waffle Socks by Sandy Turner. So there we go. Okay. So that got the majority of my work. Now I have to bring my notes back up. The other thing I worked on a little bit since you saw it last was the Fauble ankle socks. I believe, let's see, where was I last time? I don't know where I was last time. But I finished the first one. I did not bring sock blockers over. I don't know why. But the first one's finished. It's just a little ankle sock, plain vanilla. I did like 1 inch of a 1x1 rib, then 1 inch of stockinette, and then started the heel flap and knit down. Again, this is the first time I've used Drops Fauble. I mean, it's fine. It's not as soft as, you know, as Bounce or a merino yarn. It's definitely got some tooth to it. Yes, I have to hold it out here. I'm trying to remember. It's 75% wool, 25% polyamide. This is the other skein. I really think I'm going to be able to get both of these little socks out of one skein though, since I'm doing them so small. And this is color 672. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's fine, and I think once it's washed, it'll definitely be fine. But for what they are, the ankle socks, just to wear around the house, not worried about it. So I did start the second one, and I am on the heel flap already. That's the nice part about these little ankle socks. You get to that part really fast. So have my cuff, have the stockinette, and not a whole lot of the heel flap, about 1 inch of heel flap. So anyway, that's my other little, it's a mindless knit, you know, I can work on it without really thinking much. I think I had this in the car with me last weekend. That was some car knitting for a while, but I didn't actually do much knitting on it. I'll talk more about that later. Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's all the knitting I did. I do have a couple of things on deck. Actually, I've got a lot of things on deck. So that's the thing. I feel like I left my knitting mojo up in Maine or something. I don't know. Ever since I got back, I have not been in a knitting mindset. And this is coffee because it's morning. It's a little after 9:30. I've been up since 6, which is normal for me, and that's fine, but it's a Saturday, so I'm just easing into my day. Alrighty, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I just haven't been. I want to knit, but every time I sit down, it's like I could knit now. I'm either too tired or just nothing is really striking my fancy. Maybe it's the projects. I don't know. I've been rearranging stuff in my bedroom and on my bookcases, and my bookcases are constantly in a state of being rearranged because, you know, and this is going to sound weird, but a few years ago, you know, when my ex moved out and he took his stuff, like a whole bunch of space opened up on the bookcase that had most of his stuff on it. And so automatically I'm thinking, cool, I have all this extra bookcase space. Well, and you know, nature abhors a vacuum, so automatically stuff goes into those empty spaces, but it's never been organized. And I really just don't even know what to put on them because I don't have tons of books anymore. I used to hoard books like crazy, and I started getting rid of books just because, you know, if I knew I was never going to read them again, I didn't feel the need to keep them. And so it's not like I have enough books to fill up all those bookcases, although I'm working on it. I could probably move some of my knitting books in there and do that and free up space in here. That's an idea. But anyway, the one bookcase that I use, that I have bins on, where I keep like all my hand knits. The bottom shelf has 2 bins that I keep a lot of shawls in. And then the top shelf has littler bins that I keep like mittens and scarves and hats in. The middle bin, or the middle shelf, had just sort of been a random assortment. It would be where I threw laundry that actually needed to be ironed, because I don't iron very frequently, so it just piles up. Or, you know, random stuff would get stacked there. Well, I cleaned that shelf off not long ago, so it was nice and open, and I'm like, this would be a perfect place to put all of my project bags that have works in progress. So that's what's on there now. There's a lot of them, and yet I can't find anything to knit. That's sad. I don't know. It'll be fine. But I do have projects that I want to start. And the next one that I think I'm going to start is my antler cardigan. I need to knit a sweater that I know I'm going to wear. I mean, the slinky ribs is still there, and I know I will wear it, but it's in timeout from me, and we're just taking a break from each other. So, and I'm not working on that right now. But here's the antler cardigan. This is by Alexa Ludeman. Picture. Where are you? Okay. Obviously, I'm going to be doing the adult size. And it's written for sizes 0 through 6 up through 4XL, you know, adult size. So it's a wonderful pattern in that respect. I was reading through the pattern this morning a little bit. You start by knitting the sleeves, and then you knit the body, and then you join, and then you do the raglan decreasing, shaping and decreasing, and that's where you're also doing all that cabling that creates the antler motif. And I think that'll be good, because the sleeves, no, the sleeves do not have the antler pattern going the whole way up, although you could probably do that. I'm going to have to research and see if other people have done that. Although it actually doesn't look like there's antler, the antler motif is, I don't know. In the one picture, it looks like it does come right down the center of the shoulder, and on the other picture, it doesn't, but maybe it's just the way she's moved. I think it would be kind of neat to have that antler motif going the whole way down the sleeve, to tell you the truth. I'm just not sure how you would do that if it has to meet up with the motif that you'll start on the shoulder when you're working on the body after you've joined the body and the sleeves. That would definitely take some pre-planning. I don't know. Maybe I'll just knit it as it is. I don't know. Why can't I do that? Like, why can't I just look at a pattern and say, oh, okay, the designer has done all the work. Let me just follow it. But no, I sit here and say, this is a lovely pattern. I really want to knit it. How can I change it? I just can't do anything simply. Anyway, pattern. And as I showed you a while back, I did buy the yarn for it. I'm going to use Cascade 220 Heathers. I think this is the Aspen color. I don't remember. It just has the number on the tag. It's color 8011. I had originally bought one skein of this from Webb's when I went on my Cascade 220 Heathers binge a while back. And then I realized this was the perfect color to make this antler cardigan. It's like a stone color. It's really pretty. It's not showing up great today. Sorry, the lighting's a little wonky again today. Oh, there, if I turn the lamp a little, that's better. But it's just a really pretty heathered gray, stone kind of color. I couldn't get any more, though, from Webb's. They were out of the color when I decided I wanted to make a sweater out of it, so I ordered this from Jimmy Beans. So I have a whole sweater lot in the same color lot, plus one extra skein that I had already gotten from Webb's. So anyway, I am going to, the other reason I want to start a sweater is because I have a new bag I need to play with. And I was going to talk about this a little bit later, but since I have it out now, well, I will talk about it a little later, but I'll just show it to you now. This is an Awesome Granny bag from Darlene of Awesome Granny. And isn't it, it is awesome. I love this fabric. It's Little Red Riding Hood with the wolves and the little birds in the trees and grandma. And I like I like how it has sort of a Russian feel to it. I think it's awesome. Awesome Granny makes awesome bags with awesome fabric. So anyway, but I'm going to talk about the bag itself a little bit later. But that's what it's in, and it's a nice big bag, and there's a little notions pouch that matches it, and it's a really cool little notions pouch too. So, but again, more on that later. So that's coming up. I have another pair of socks that I know I want to knit. Like I ever don't have socks I want to knit, but I have one of my colorways that I want to work on knitting a sock out of. I would like to make myself a hat, because remember I showed you the bankhead hat last time that I made with that red Cascade 220, and I have more of the red Cascade 220. I want to make myself a hat out of that, but I have not yet decided on which hat I want to do, so still thinking about that. Possibly what I'm going to cast on next, though, and let me see if I can find it real quick. I showed it to you last week, sorry. Okay, it's one of the patterns that I was gifted. It's this one, the View from the Charles. They use it. You can do it in either fingering or DK, and it's designed to work with gradient yarn. And I do DK weight gradients for my Takushcha kits, and I've just dyed a bazillion of them getting ready for Indie Knit and Spin. I may steal one of those and knit this shawl to have as a sample for Indie Knit and Spin. I would love to be able to get that done. So that actually may need to be the first thing on my needles if I'm going to do that. We'll see. So anyway, that's a possibility. And then a cow, maybe a cow. I don't know. We'll see. Remember, I've also dyed mega gradients. Remember my mega gradients from last year? I dyed up a bunch of those for the show coming up as well. So I may end up making myself a cowl, because I did those 2 cowls for gifts last Christmas out of mega. So I don't know. So many options. I just have to actually sit down and put the yarn and the needles in my hands and do something with them. That's the key. I did spin though, okay? That's something different because I haven't spun in a while. With the Natural Colors Spin Along coming up, I decided I should probably break into my wheels again just to kind of get back at them. And I was using my Traveler. It needs to be oiled. It's a little squeaky right now. But what I wanted to do, well, I didn't know what I wanted to do. See, the whole apathy, the lost mojo was kind of filtering over into spinning too. And I've got tons of fiber over in my stash. That's not a problem. I just wasn't finding anything that really, really spoke to me. I did pull out some colorful fluff that I'm not really going to talk about today because I started it and it was hideous and I couldn't draft it. It was just impossible to work with and it was not enjoyable at all. So that ended up just going back in its little baggie, and I discarded the 3 feet of it that I spun. But instead I pulled out some natural colored fiber. I kind of wanted to do something with color now since I'm going to be doing the Natural Color Spin Along with you guys coming up. But I didn't have anything on hand that I thought would be a really quick and dirty spin that I could just do, ply, get done, and not have my wheel really taken up, because I want to use my Traveler for the Natural Colors Spin Along. Anyway, so I pulled out some English Leicester long wool. Luster. It's supposed to be Luster, I think is how it's pronounced. I know it's not Leicester. That's the only thing I know it isn't. It's Leicester or Luster. So English Leicester long wool, which is considered, let's see, on the Livestock Conservancy, Leicester long wool is considered a critical breed, which means not a lot of them really need to be watching after them. And that is part of the draw for me of that fiber. But anyway, here is a little bit of the fiber. It's a real pretty sort of brownish gray. It is definitely not what I would consider next to skin soft. And being a long wool, it has very long staple length. The fibers are exceedingly long. I mean, you can see that's at least 6 inches. That's not, it's probably more than one staple length, but I would say a staple length is about that, 6 or 7 inches. So it's definitely a long wool. It definitely has the luster of a long wool. It took me a little while to figure out how best to draft this in order to spin it comfortably without it feeling like it was just ripping apart. It really, really needed to be pre-drafted well. And I had to find the comfortable spacing between my hands, you know, drafting, pinching, and the drafting. Like as you draft, if you're a spinner, you know this, you know, you're controlling with both hands, but you have to have your hands at least a staple length apart, otherwise you're fighting the fiber. And it can't move. And so it was taking me a little while to really find a comfortable interval for my hands. And it ended up being quite wide. I mean, it was, I would say like 18 inches was probably an optimal length, between 12 and 18 inches. I was spinning it woolen, which is not what comes naturally to me. This is how it's spun up. Again, I only had 2 ounces of it. So okay, I don't know if I can get it to focus. You can see the luster on it though, can't you? That shine. I think it's so pretty. And that's not really an accurate color either way up there by the light. That's more of an accurate color. I could get it to, maybe if I make it take up more of the screen. Definitely has a halo, very fuzzy. I was trying to not overspin it though. Whenever I spun that Lincoln earlier this year, I think I did overspin it a little bit, so it felt more wiry than I would have liked. So I was trying to avoid that with this. And I was just, you know, the other thing about spinning woolen is you kind of have to spin slower, treadle slower, and I always want to treadle like I'm running a race, you know, so it's a conscious effort on my part to have to treadle slower in order to get a good woolen spun. But I think I got about, I don't remember, 66 yards, maybe 50, somewhere between 50 and 60 yards of a 2-ply, and then I had an itty bitty bit left over, so I just, you know, Navajo plied it, chain plied it for another 6 yards maybe. Nothing spectacular. And then I saved a little bit of the fiber. Part of the impetus for doing this, besides the fact I like playing with fibers, and I have never spun English Leicester long wool before, part of my motivation for doing this is because in a couple of weeks at Indie Knit and Spin, the show that I'm going to be vending, I'm also teaching a class on conservation breeds, and I wanted to have samples. So this will be one of my samples because it is a critical breed. The other 2 that are on deck for that same purpose is I have some Jacob, which is just a lovely white color. It's got residual fibers from some other darker colored animal. And then I have some Navajo Churro. Both Jacob and Navajo Churro are also on the livestock conservancy list. They are listed as recovering though, so they're in a better place than the English Leicester long wool. So anyway, these I'll be using as part of my talk. It's really going to be more of a very, I think, an informal, cozy conversation kind of class as opposed to a very formal me standing up and lecturing kind of class, because it'll be small. And now I have somebody's fur in my eye. Oh, God, that hurts. Okay. Blink it off, Lisa. Blink it off. Okay. So anyway, that was my spinning. And I spun that all yesterday. It's 2 ounces. It doesn't really take very long. So I'm not sure when I'll get to the other 2. Maybe I might start one of them today, later on if I have time. But anyway, going into, that's a good segue to go into the Natural Colors Spin Along. I've dropped the word fibers. I mean, it's still written there, but I feel like that's almost redundant because if it's a spin along, of course you're spinning fiber. What else are you going to spin? You know, you're not spinning cars or dishes. It's not that kind of spin along. Anyway, Natural Colors Fibers Spin Along. Starting November 15th, so that is 2 weeks from tomorrow, and we'll run through the rest of the year. Again, just to recap all of the information, which is now up on the 90% knitting board, so you can check it all out there too. You can spin any fiber you want. It can be animal, it can be plant, it can be a blend of both, it can have nylon in it, it doesn't matter. As long as it has not been dyed, it needs to come in its natural color form. Okay, that is the bottom line criteria for this spin along. If it's bleached fiber, that's okay too. I don't find bleached fiber to be quite as exciting to spin as, you know, natural color fibers, but that's up to you because technically it's not dyed, so I'm not going to quibble over that. Minimal quantity that you need to spin in order to qualify for a prize would be 4 ounces. If you just want to spin along and you're not worried about a prize, then that's fine. You can spin less than that, but 4 ounces is what will be required as a minimum to qualify for a prize. Any spinning method's fine. Use a wheel, a drop spindle, an e-spinner, whatever. You can ply your yarn or not. You can leave it as the singles. That's fine because yardage is not going to be a qualifying element in this spin along. So it's totally up to you. As I mentioned last time, follow up to this spin along will be in January and February. We're going to be doing a hand spun knit along. So if you want to use what you're spinning now during the spin along for the knit along in January and February, you may want to get your plying out of the way as well. But the plying is not necessary to qualify for a prize in the spin along portion. Just saying that. What else? I talked about these spinning sets, these Shetland fiber spinning sets, which I know you can't see well. I can't remember. Did I embed a picture? If I didn't, I'll put a picture in here of what they look like outside of the bag. I'll try to remember to do that. If not, you can see them in the shop. All of the ones that I had available for first dibs were claimed like immediately. I was shocked. I did not expect them to go. I think I had 20 or 21 of them that people have already claimed, and there's only a few that haven't yet been paid for that are still in reserved listings in the shop, but people still have time. It's up through November 8th you can pay for those. Because there is still interest in this fiber, I've gone ahead and I've ordered more. I should have more, I should have enough to put together, I'm going to say at least 15 more of these kits, these spinning sets. I'm not going to do the first dibs thing at this point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to list those in the shop later today, probably when I'm done recording. I'm going to just put them in the shop and you can pre-order them from there. My supplier sent me a notice saying that the fiber should arrive here on November 4th, which will be Wednesday, I believe. Is that right? Yes, November 4th, Wednesday. So by the time I get it all separated into the 2-ounce segments and put into the bags and labeled and everything, I'm hoping I should be able to ship those out by the end of next week or the following Monday, the 9th at the latest. So if you're in the US, you should still be able to get these prior to the beginning of the spin along if you want to use it for the spin along. If you're out of the country, it may not be there by the time the spin along starts. It might be. It depends on where you're at. I will add that at this point, you can go ahead and pre-order these even if you're not planning to use these for the spin along, because I know there were people who said they really liked it and would like to try it, but they didn't think they were going to be able to do it for the spin along. And I appreciate you using restraint on that, as I had requested, because I did want to keep it mostly for people who wanted to use it for the spin along. So, but since I'm ordering more, and I don't know if I'll order any more after the second shipment, go ahead. It's up for grabs to anybody, whether you're going to use it for the spin along or not. So, just saying, those will be up in the shop later today for pre-order, and I will ship them out as soon as possible once I get the fiber in and I get it divided up. So, yeah. Let's talk about prizes. We do have some prizes now. The first prize for the spin along was offered up kindly by Benita, who has the Fiber Pusher podcast, and she is also one of the 2 people who has the Dyed in the Wool shop, and they focus on undyed fibers. So if you've watched her podcast, you've seen what she has. Her stuff's really, really nice. I shared with you, I believe, a while back, she had sent me a binder for like a fiber study kind of binder that they did. I don't know if she still has any of those, but that was really, really cool to have. So check out her shop. She is offering a $25 gift certificate to their shop as a prize for the spin along. So that is very cool. Thank you so much, Benita. She's also offering a 10% off discount code for all of you guys to use in her shop between now and the end of the year. And the code is FND10. So FND 10, no spaces. I will put that in the show notes. I would say that I'm going to try to put it at the bottom of the screen here, but I'm really, really bad at doing that, so I may not. Just because it's technical stuff that always takes me a lot longer than it should to do. Anyway, I will put it in the show notes. So it's FND10 for 10% off in the Dyed in the Wool shop. So thank you, Benita. I appreciate that so much. The other prize that we'll have for the spin along is going to be from me, and I don't have it fully fleshed out yet, but it's going to be a fiber sampler. I'm going to take a bunch of different fiber types. They will not necessarily be conservation breeds or anything like that, but I'm gearing this more towards someone who maybe hasn't spun a lot, a newer spinner who might be interested in trying different fibers. So, and I have not yet decided either if it's going to be undyed fiber or colorful fiber, because, you know, part of me thinks, okay, well, this is for the spin along is all about undyed fiber, but maybe by the end of the spin along, you're going to want some color in your life. I know I will. So it may be a fiber sampler of colored fiber. I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned for more details on that, but that will be another prize. So right now, 2 prizes. If you have some sort of fiber related spinning prize that you would like to offer up for this, I would be happy to talk to you about that. So just PM me on Ravelry. Lastly, oh, I didn't set this up, but we're going to do the drawing for the set of the Shetland Spinning Set that I'm giving away. I didn't, oh, poo. Okay. Hang on. Where is my Ravelry window? Oh my goodness. I love it when I'm so organized, don't you? I need to lock the thread. I was going to do that before I started and then I got sidetracked. Imagine that. Me getting distracted by something. All right, I'm going to lock the thread. We had a lot of people enter this. Okay. Unstickied and locked. All right, we had 58 entries because there's 59 posts. First one was mine. So let me bring up random. So 2 through 59, generate, and it's number 52. Cool. So 52 is Midge817. I asked what your favorite fiber or natural fiber to spin is, and she said her favorite spin is BFL, but would love to try alpaca. Well, I can't help you with alpaca, but you are going to get the Shetland. So yay, congratulations on that. Midge, please PM me on Ravelry. Send me your email address, or not your email address, your first, last name, your first and last name, and your physical mailing address so that I can put this in the mail to you, and you can use it for the spin along. Yay! Congratulations, Midge. Thank you for entering, and thank you to everybody who entered. And Midge, I don't think you were one of the people who already ordered one of these. If I'm incorrect, please let me know that, and I will refund you instead, which is what I said I would do for anybody who entered the drawing and also purchased one of the sets. But I don't think you had purchased one of the sets. I could be wrong. I often am. So, alrighty. I think that's everything about the spin along right now. New things. As I said, I got this lovely bag from Darlene from Awesome Granny Bags. Here's her cute little, it's Bags by Awesome Granny. I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong, but her zipper pull is this really cute little, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not. Oh, for heaven's sakes. This is the most awkward thing in the world for me to be doing. I could actually just take it off the bag. Maybe I should do that. It's like the day I was trying to show you that necklace while I was still wearing it. My gosh. Okay, here it is. Bags by Awesome Granny. It's got a cute little bag on it and her website. No, not her website. Oh, Respect Your Knitting. That's what it says. Okay, so She contacted me recently and asked me if I would be willing to do a review of her bags. And I said, sure. I don't do a lot of reviews, but I'm happy to do them if people ask. So, or I'm happy to consider them. Let me put it that way. I don't do all of the ones that I get asked to do, but some I do. I do. And this one I'm going to do. I'm not reviewing it today because it just came this week and I have not really started to use it yet. But I did just want to show it to you because it's so pretty. It's nice and big. And again, it's got a nice little Notions patch with it. And the nice thing about this Notions patch, I'll just say off, but it's gusseted. Most Notions pouches are pretty flat. So I like the fact that this is actually gusseted and gives you more room for stuff. So anyway, oh, the inside fabric is wolves. Aren't they cute? So anyway, so stay tuned. Hopefully by the next time I record, I will have my antler cardigan started and I will have been using this bag and I will be able to give you a full review on it. But I can just say, first glances, I think this is going to be a wonderful bag. I love the size. I've got to say that. I need more bags of this size. Okay. Oh, and she, okay, here we go. She has offered a a moment of zen. She's been offering, I can't talk. She's offering two things. Number one, after I do the review, she has offered a bag set as a drawing for you guys. And whoever wins will get to choose what bag set they want out of her shop. So that's number one. Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Darlene. Secondly, she's also offering us a coupon code that's good from now through the end of the year. It's 15% off, and the code is FiberNym15. So all capital letters with the numbers 15 at the end, all put together. Again, I will put it in the show notes along with her shop address. I will also post that to Instagram because she had asked that I would, and I said that I would, so I will do that. So if you're on Instagram, you'll see that there. Yeah, so please check out her shop. You know what, the 15% discount is drawing to me because when she asked me which bag set I wanted, I knew I wanted this one because I love this fabric, but there were at least 3 or 4 others there that I was like, me wants them, my precious. You know. Oh, goodness. Anyway, okay. So stay tuned on that. The giveaway part, I'm not putting that up this week because I haven't done the review yet. That will come. I will put that thread up once I do the review. There's a weird, loud, screechy noise happening somewhere in my house. And I hope it's my son boiling water in the tea kettle. Otherwise, it means the cat has gotten stuck in a tripper shredder or something. It stopped. I think it was the tea kettle. Okay. What else? Oh, that's a new thing. I bought myself a new tea kettle. I know. Exciting, right? Oh, the other drawings that I put up last time for the patterns, there was 3 of them. I'm leaving them up through one more podcast. So the View from the Charles, the Azteca, and the Belle, the one from Emily, the Esther Belle shawl. So Esther Belle shawl, View from the Charles, and Azteca. Where are you, Azteca? Azteca. Those drawings are still open, so you can still enter those if you would like, and I will pull winners for all 3 of these next podcast. Alrighty. That's everything for the 90% part. 10%. Reading. I'm still reading How to Catch a Frog by Heather Ross. That's kind of been my either morning or nighttime reading. I try to read at least a chapter. I'm enjoying it. The first chapter really drew me in. The rest of it, it's been a little off and on. I mean, some chapters I've really enjoyed, others not so much. It's a lot of recollections and stories from her childhood, which wasn't great in certain ways. It was, I don't know, some of it makes me, as a mom, a little twingy. And I mean, I don't think she's explaining it so that we'll say, oh, what a horrible childhood you had, because it wasn't a horrible childhood. It was just a very different childhood. And we've all had, you know, we all have different experiences growing up. So it's interesting, but obviously she's come out of it and she's been able to take, you know, those experiences from her childhood and, you know, use them in positive ways. So that's been pretty cool. And a lot of it's nature oriented, which you know, I always like reading about things like that. Somebody who's spent a lot of time in nature. And it's funny because the chapter I read this morning, actually there was knitting involved, and I think there's knitting involved in the next chapter too. So that was a fun surprise. Knitting and yarn. I started listening to Wild by Cheryl Strayed. Yikes. I couldn't make it through the first chapter. It was so freaking depressing because it's all about her mom dying of cancer. It's like, this book can only get better from here because I'm going to listen to it, but I have to listen to it in small doses and I have to be in the right mindset. Because if it's like a rainy, gloomy day outside and I'm already feeling that, you know, that mood you get in rainy, gloomy days sometimes, that is not the book to listen to. Just saying. Yeah. I don't know. Otherwise, I'm just trying to keep up with some seasonal stuff. I did finally go out. I mowed my grass for what will be the last time this year and changed the oil in my tractor. So that's all taken care of. I need to change the transmission fluid in the tractor. See, there's certain upkeep things that I don't really know how to do, and I've been winging it. Like lubricating all the little Zerk things. I don't know what that's what they're called. I don't know what the right terminology is, how to say that, but I know how to do that. I have the grease gun. I can do that. We changed the, I don't know, fluid in the rear axle thing. I don't remember what it's called, but it's been changed. It probably needs changed again because it was hideous when I changed it. But the transmission fluid was the one that I never got to change at all since I've had the tractor, and it's run 2 years now, so it probably needs changed because I'm guessing it wasn't changed with much regularity back when the other people who had it owned it. So I may pull the tractor back out and do the transmission fluid and that back end thing again before winter. It takes the same fluid, so this is me trying to learn things that do not come naturally to me. Makes me crazy because I like being able to do this stuff. It's just, it's not something I've been exposed to that I know enough about that I feel confident. So I'm always just sort of pushing the boundaries of this stuff, but it'll get done. I want my tractor to live a happy, long life. So anyway, did that, cleaned up a little bit. I've come to the point where there's just going to be some things that are not going to get done this fall. They're just not. Like my garden is still the big, dry, weedy mess that it ended up being after everything died. And you know what? It's going to stay that way till spring. I'm not even going to go down and pull the weeds and the dead plants. I'm just not. I don't think I am. I mean, if I have a random day where I don't have anything else to do, maybe I will. I kind of like the weeds. They look very creative and artistic. And I know they'll look really pretty with snow on them too. So I'm tempted to just kind of leave them there. I've made the decision that I'm not planting garlic this fall. It's almost getting a little too late to plant garlic. I did not grow enough garlic this year to actually keep some apart to plant more. And if I did, it would still be a small amount. So I think I'm just going to wait, and next year I'll do it, but I'll buy seed garlic. If I still feel like I like growing garlic, and it's something that I find pretty easy to grow, but it has to go in the fall, usually like September, by late September it should be in the ground, and you cover, you know, where you've planted it, you cover it with straw so it's a little insulated, but it needs to winter, and then it'll start growing once it starts warming up in the spring, and you know, by late early summer, midsummer, it's ready to dig up and you've got fresh garlic. But I've got enough that I think will get me through winter and into spring, and after that I'll just buy it. I like buying the roasted garlic cloves off of the Italian bar at the grocery store. I use those cloves for a lot of stuff when I don't have fresh garlic, so it's not like I will be garlicless, because life without garlic is sad. Garlic is a good thing, in moderation, as most things are. Alrighty, what else? Let's move on to shop news. Because this is getting rambly. November minis of the month. I skipped October, but they're back for November. I have not yet named this colorway set. I know what I want it to be named. Like, I know what the inspiration for it is. I just haven't quite decided what to call it. But here it is. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There we go. So the self-striper is on the bottom here. That's a 3-stripe of a kind of cherryish pink, a gold, and a tealish blue. And then the contrasting color that's going with it is a soft black. Now, the motivation for this is I want you to think about like the old glass Christmas ornaments. That's what this makes me think of, and that's what I was thinking of when I dyed it. So I have to come up with a good name for that. And then the black, I mean, you don't usually have black in Christmas ornaments, but when you hang Christmas ornaments on the tree, you know, the tree's typically green, unless you have another colored tree. But then like back in the tree, you have the dark spaces. So you've got the dark spaces that help to highlight the colors of your ornaments. So that was my thought process in putting this set together. It'll go up, okay, usually the minis of the month, I put them up on the 1st of the month at 9 a.m. This month they're going to go up on the 2nd of the month, only because this Sunday, November 1st, is daylight saving time begins. So there's that hour time shift. And just to avoid confusion, there's a really funny video about this time. This is totally unrelated to anything except the time change thing. And I can't remember what it's called. I'll find it and I'll put it in the show notes. It's funny. It really is. Yeah. Anyway, I just figured to avoid weird time stuff because, you know, just because I'm going to wait till Monday so it'll be the 2nd at 9 a.m. that these will go up for pre-order. And again, they will ship by the end of the month as always. So, be looking for those. The other thing, okay, I already said the Shetland Fiber Spinning Sets. Those I'm going to just put up today. So they'll be there to be ordered. I was going to wait, but I had already said on the 90% Knitting group that I would put them up whenever they came, whenever I found out the shipping date for the fiber. And I just found it out, so I'm just going to do it all now since I'm letting you know. They'll be up there. But on Monday, I'm going to have 2 other colorways, new colorways that I'm going to put up for pre-order. One of them is my new holiday-oriented colorway for this year. And let me just stop here and say, I had totally planned on being able to do a Christmas holiday colorway update by this point, and it just isn't happening. These 2 shows back to back, Highlands on the Fly and now Indie Knit and Spin in a couple weeks, it has just, between that and the wholesale orders and then special orders, I'm off my schedule for being able to do that, and I'm frustrated with myself because I feel like I could have planned that better. I am going to do a Christmas colorway update coming up, and I'll tell you about that a little bit. But this one, since it's new, I want to put up for pre-order so that people can order it ahead of time if they would so choose to do so. This is it. It's definitely not your typical Christmassy colors. It's very bright, and it is called, ow, I just got like a cramp in my jaw. Ow, that really hurt. Okay, I'm sorry. This is inspired. Let's start from that end. This was inspired by Trans-Siberian Orchestra's song Wizards in Winter. Not so much the song itself, but if you've ever seen them live, you'll know that their shows involve a lot of like lights and laser stuff. Very, very colorful. And so I'm going to include a link both in the listing and I'll put it in the show notes to a YouTube video of their performance of this song so you can see the colors, because that is what inspired this colorway, which I'm calling Winter's Wizards. I'm not going to call it Wizards in Winter because I feel like that would be some sort of copyright violation. So we'll do a little bit of switching around the words. Winter's Wizards. But the colors of that light show are these colors. And it's just fabulous. I love that song. Matter of fact, I usually have that song as my default ringtone pretty much all winter long. It's just, I love it. And I love the colors of that light show and the way the music plays with it. It's just really, really pleasing to me and on many different fronts. So anyway, Winter's Wizards. This is my new holiday colorway for this year. I'm going to put this up for pre-order both on Bounce and on Bedazzled, so you can get sparkly wizards if you'd like. All right, the other new colorway, and this is not holiday related, but this is a colorway that I have been planning since at least May. All right, a long time ago, because I was actually talking about it with Melissa when she was here back in May for Maryland Sheep and Wool. And she was all into it. And I told her, yep, I'm definitely going to do it. And it has taken me this long to do it. I dyed it once, and it was really, really labor intensive because of the striping process. But here we go. Here it is. This is an 8 stripe colorway, and it's called 7 Deadly Sins. And I'm super excited about this. The bottom one's on Bounce. The top one is on Bedazzled. And as you can guess, it has the colors that represent each of the 7 deadly sins. And in between each is a narrow black stripe. I tried doing the colorway without the black stripe, and it just looked too bright and happy. And they're sins. They shouldn't be bright and happy. They should be dark. This is sort of how it's gonna stripe up. So anyway, so we have got, let's see if I can find all these colors and pick them out to show you. I'm sorry, my vision today is just not working real well. Okay, we've got this deep pink, which is Lust. We've got green, which is Envy. We've got, where are you? Red, which is Wrath. Purple, which is Pride. Blue, which is Sloth. Yellow, is it yellow? No. Yes, yellow. Yellow, which is Greed. And lastly, orange, which is Gluttony. So, Lust, Envy, Wrath, Pride, Sloth, Greed, Gluttony. Woohoo! And you too can wear the 7 deadly sins on your feet or hands. I've dyed it up on the Bounce and Bedazzled again because, hey, sparkly sins. Woo! I'm going to put these up for pre-order. Again, I'm probably not going to put them up in large quantities just because they are very labor intensive, but I'll probably put up 4 of each. 4 on Bounce, 4 on Bedazzled. I haven't decided how many of these I'm going to put up. This is a slightly easier pattern to do, so there may be more of these. But be looking for those. Those are all going to go up as pre-orders. These new colorway pre-orders will ship by December 4th. Okay, so the minis of the month pre-orders, those will ship by the end of November. The 7 Deadly Sins and Winter's Wizards, these will ship by December 4th. If I can ship them earlier, I most certainly will, but that will be the latest. Now, talking about future updates. I've got Indie Knit and Spin happening on 2 weeks from today, November 14th. If you are anywhere near Pittsburgh, I would say if you are within a 2-hour drive, definitely come. Please come. It's a great show. We've grown a little bit every year. This is our 5th year. It is it's a wonderful show with a lot of vendors that you don't see at other shows. So I would urge you to come. There's a a WordPress blog that we have that has a profile of each of the vendors, so you can go and check that out. I'll put that link in the show notes. See who's going to be there. We also have a Ravelry group and a Facebook page. We're all over the place. So check that out. If you're even 3 hours away, if you're 3 to 4 hours away from Pittsburgh, because I travel 4 hours. I go to Maryland Sheep and Wool and Homespun Yarn Party. That's a 4-hour drive for me, basically. You know, I've done that in a day, down to the event and come back in the same day. It's doable. And you know what? Even though this show is obviously much smaller than Maryland Sheep and Wool, what is going on with my jaws all of a sudden? It's so weird. It's much smaller, but it's very, very fulfilling. We're offering classes this year too. I don't know what the status of all the classes are, but I know that there are still openings in a lot of them. So if you're interested in coming to any of the classes, check those out. That stuff should be all on the blog and on the Facebook page and everywhere else. And also, Pittsburgh is just a really cool city, okay? It's just a really cool city. That was the other thing I was going to talk about in 10%. Kayaking. I'll go back to that. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place today because I was thinking about cool cities, and I was kayaking in Erie, which is also a cool city. Anyway, yes, come to the show. You can leave. You can go to the waterfront. You can go to the waterfront, and then there's the other place. I can't remember now. Down the river, North Shore. There's so many cool places to eat. There's a lot of stuff to see. You could take the incline, see the city from Mount Washington. That is always a fun experience. There's the Science Center. There's museums, the Carnegie Museum. If you want to make a weekend of it, it would be wonderful. I'm telling you, come see our beautiful city. I love Pittsburgh. And this is going to be an awesome show. So no reason not to be here. So anyway, but I have the show on the 14th, which means I will, and that's my last show of the year. I won't have anything else till next year in February. So I will have everything left over from the show. I'm going to be putting into a shop update, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to put it all up in one big shop update. That is my plan at this point. That may change if depending on how much stuff there is, but that's my plan to do it all in one. So there will be that update, and that will be on Wednesday, November 18th. I will then be doing a Christmas colorways update on Friday, December 4th. Much, much later than I had wanted to do it for Christmas colorways, but hopefully you'll still be interested in some of them, even if you don't end up being able to get them knit up for this Christmas. So that's what's on the horizon. Yeah, that's how it's going to be for right now. All right, so that is everything. I'm going to go. This has been almost an hour, and I've got a busy day ahead of me. So I'm going to go and get this processing, and I will see you next time. Take care. Oh, kayaking. Gosh, I went kayaking last weekend up in Lake Erie. Not on the lake and not in the bay, but the Presque Isle Lagoons. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I didn't know Presque Isle had lagoons. It was a really kind of rainy, drizzly day, but we were still out on the water for a couple of hours, and it was so much fun. I love being on the water. I love being in a kayak or a canoe. It's just so peaceful. It makes me feel peaceful. It was a great experience. Loved being there, even though the drive up and the drive back was way more time than we spent on the water, but that was fine because it was a good time all around. Probably the last time I'll be out on the water this year, I think. Snowshoeing will be coming up next. So stay tuned for that. And hiking. There's still hiking weather. I'm hoping to go hiking tomorrow, actually. So, all right, that's everything. I'm sorry, that was so scattered and out of order, but that's me. So, all right, have a good rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Halloween. Please be careful if you're going out or if you have little ones going out. Have fun, be careful, and I'll see you next time. Bye.